What's going on, everyone? Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving teamed up to go to the Brooklyn Nets to play together and hopefully win some NBA championships. Unfortunately for them, it hasn't worked out and it's been an absolute mess and disaster, and it looks like Kyrie Irving is on his way out. Now, if Kyrie leaves, there's lots of talks that Kevin Durant very likely leaves as well via trade. And the reports coming in right now is that Brooklyn may be okay with that. That Brooklyn would rather just move off of both of them than deal with what they had to deal with last year. Now, whether those reports are true or not, it kind of looks based on what is going on that very well could be the case. But what if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving could still stay together and just go to another team, move to another team? Now, a month ago, I would have said this trade absolutely never would have happened. If somebody would have proposed this trade to me, I would have been like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would Brooklyn want to do this? But now, with all of the circumstances that are going on, I could easily see a Kyrie Irving and KD trade for Westbrook and Anthony Davis. And you might be thinking, like, no, like, why would they do that? Like, what other options do the Brooklyn Nets have? Now, think about it. Kyrie Irving, he could easily just say, I'm leaving and you're getting nothing for me, and just go sign with the Lakers for $6 million, which is being reported. There's lots of talks that could happen. Kevin Durant, he's very likely going to want out too. Yes, you could probably get a ton of assets for Kevin Durant, but what are you going to get when teams know Kevin Durant's leaving? Like, you have no leverage with Kevin Durant. Yeah, you could force him to sit there, but Kevin Durant, he's the kind of player that would be stubborn and just sit out, and now you're paying him for nothing. So what if you went and recouped a Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis? You'd still be very competitive. The Brooklyn Nets have more of a natural fit for Russell Westbrook than the Lakers did. The Lakers' problem was they didn't have any shooters, and they had LeBron and Westbrook that were kind of, handling the ball, and it was just this clunky fit. But if he goes to the Brooklyn Nets, yes, there's Ben Simmons, but they could do a lot with Ben Simmons. They could either have him in the dunker spot and, have him play the 4, Davis play the 5, Westbrook, is the other guy, and then you just have other shooters. Or they could even trade Ben Simmons and recoup other assets. Ben Simmons is still a young player that many teams would probably look after trying to get, especially if he's back and he's healthy, things like that. But worst case scenario, you have Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis. You can build around Ben Simmons and Anthony Davis because Westbrook's contract falls off the books after this year. So you essentially have all this cap space freed up to maybe go get another star, maybe go get a Bradley Beal or something like that to pair with Anthony Davis. This might not be the greatest trade in the world, but you're getting an Anthony Davis who, when healthy, is a monster and an absolute mismatch. You're getting Westbrook, who Westbrook still showed when Anthony Davis and LeBron weren't playing that he's still that 30-point triple-double type of guy. At the end of the day, you're still getting 2 all-star caliber players to stay relevant, to still be a quality team. Westbrook, one of the things that Brooklyn liked about Westbrook is his consistency. He's a guy that's going to play 82 games. He's a guy that you know what you're going to get night in and night out. And if Anthony Davis can stay healthy, these two are still a quality duo in the NBA. You add in all their shooters, Joe Harris, Patty Mills, Seth Curry. You could even have Drummond play the center position and Davis play the power forward. We've seen Westbrook have success with guys like Steven Adams and stuff where, he slashes to the basket. You got that guy in the dunker spot and just dumps it down. That could also work with Ben Simmons. Or like I said, you could move Ben Simmons. Or you get these assets and you field trades for Anthony Davis, right? Westbrook falls off the books. Maybe you get some good young assets for Anthony Davis because there's a lot of teams that would really love Anthony Davis, and he might want to go to a Chicago or something like that. And maybe you get a Patrick Williams and a couple pieces, maybe some draft picks, things like that. Or maybe the Phoenix Suns would be willing to trade Ayton for Anthony Davis. And maybe you can work in a 3-team swap. And now you got Ben Simmons and a young center, plus maybe you can get a couple other small pieces, maybe like a Cam Johnson or something like that. Now you got your wing, you got your center, and you got your point guard for the future, and you can kind of rebuild, retool around this. I think that there's a lot more possibilities with this type of trade than there are with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, because no one really wants Kyrie, and that's what the report is, that no one's looking to go, try to trade for a sign and trade for Kyrie Irving. And Anthony Davis, there are still a lot of teams that would take a chance on Anthony Davis. But at the end of the day, worst case scenario, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you have a guy who's a 30-10 monster down low, who's a mismatch night in and night out, especially in the East when you're going up against guys like Embiid, stuff like that. Like, that would be very good for this team. And then you have Westbrook. If it works and it's great, maybe you re-sign Westbrook on a smaller contract. If it doesn't, no biggie. You let him go, you just saved $47 million, and now you can go get and build around Ben Simmons and Anthony Davis. Or if you trade Ben Simmons, build around Anthony Davis and whoever's left. Maybe Bradley Beal does want out, and you can do a Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal swap. And now you have Westbrook, Beal, and Anthony Davis. You just have so many more options that you can explore if you were to do this trade. Because Kevin Durant, if he wants out, everyone knows he's going to want out. Teams aren't going to be willing to give up the farm. I mean, there will be some teams, but all of the contenders, they're not going to want to gut their team to go get a Kevin Durant, right? So you're kind of in this weird situation where it's we have Kevin Durant, we could force him to play, but he's the kind of guy that would sit out and not play, and we have no leverage because Kevin Durant publicly says he wants out. He only went to Brooklyn because he wanted to play with Kyrie. So just ship them both. Let them both go to be together. Here you go. You two go together. We'll recoup these two great assets. Lakers probably give up your draft picks even. Here you go. You can have the 27-29 draft pick. Give us KD, Kyrie. There you go. You swap Anthony Davis. And now you just, for the Lakers standpoint, come on, you're talking Kyrie, KD, and LeBron James, even at their age. That team's winning at least a championship or maybe even 3, if they're healthy. If everyone can stay healthy, I mean, LeBron and KD alone would probably win you a championship. You throw in Kyrie, you don't need to worry about Kyrie at that point. Because the big concern is Anthony Davis is a health issue, and then Kyrie, you never know where his head's at. So, you have those 3, that's great, but can you rely on Anthony Davis? Can you rely on Kyrie Irving? But if you have Kevin Durant as that insurance, Kevin Durant up until this point hasn't had those issues, and you have LeBron James, you have these two that can carry you, and you're going to be a contender, hands down. I mean, this would be arguably the best trio ever, because you'd have LeBron James as that point guard. He could play on the ball, he could play off the ball. He's an improved shooter, but he can get to the basket. How do you stop this team? Because you can't double any of them. I mean, this would be the best pairing that we've ever had. As far as trios go, I mean, which trio would be better than this? Even at their age. It might even be better because of the age that they're at, because they have that experience there. They're not those young knucklehead kids that, maybe get in their own way. They're guys that have worked and played with other teams. Kevin Durant and LeBron James have played with multiple stars. Same thing with Kyrie Irving. I mean, he played with LeBron. So, I mean, this team in and of itself, from the Lakers, you do this all day, every day. Don't get me wrong, it'd be a tough pill to swallow losing Anthony Davis, but you're getting Kevin Durant. That's about as good of a trade as it gets. That is a quality swap, and it's a fair trade for both teams. Like I said, this is something you're basically swapping. Here's our problem for your problem, and they both balance out. It works for both sides. It works for both teams. I just think it's something that would be hugely beneficial for both sides, especially the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers' biggest problem is what do we do with Westbrook? Even if Kyrie does come and sign for $6 million, what do you do with Westbrook? Do you run it with all 4 of them? And then, that way you have the money fall off so you could re-sign Kyrie. But what if it doesn't work? Now you're trying to trade Westbrook, and now you got to try to find a trade for Westbrook, but not only a trade for Westbrook, you got to find a trade for Westbrook that doesn't eat up all your salary cap so you can re-sign Kyrie. And if you don't, you run the risk of LeBron James leaving, and now you just have Anthony Davis. You could be in a very bad spot if you're the Lakers. But if you're the Lakers, I'm look, Kyrie's coming to us either way. So you could either get something for it or get nothing for it. And Kevin Durant, he's going to leave you. So why don't you just give us both? We'll give you, a dominant force in Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, who has shown he can still be a dominant force, just not as the third option. And he does need the ball in his hands. Well, if he goes to the Brooklyn Nets, he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to be that point guard. He's going to be able to be Russell Westbrook. Not just that, but you tell Brooklyn, look, you are much better suited for Russell Westbrook than we are. I mean, you got all these shooters, all these guys that can knock down shots consistently. That was our biggest problem. We didn't have anybody that can knock down shots. Anthony Davis shot 18% from three-point range. LeBron was much better this past year, but he's not a sniper by any means. You have guys that can knock it down time after time after time. Westbrook would just fit naturally, and then you get an Anthony Davis, you keep drumming. There's so many options that you have if you're the Brooklyn Nets. And then for the Lakers, you do this all day because now you're the best team in the NBA. You're winning a championship with these 3. It doesn't even matter who else you have around you at this point, but you would still, because you wouldn't be hard capped, because Kyrie would opt in, Kevin Durant is under contract, so you just do the trade. You still have your mid-level exception. You can go get a center. Like, the one thing that this free agency has that is great for the Lakers if this trade was to go down is that it has nothing but centers. Like, this free agency is terrible outside of centers. Like, there's like 15 centers that you could go get. You could easily go get 2 of those centers, one as a starter, one as a backup. You could even re-sign Dwight Howard as like your third center off the bench. You know, like, you'd be in a great position. So you have centers. All you need is like one wing and you're good. Maybe Malik Monk stays back just to be on this team. And now you have your 6th man. You still have Kendrick Nunn. You would have such a great team. And I mean, you could even do what, like, trade THT and Nunn and go get a wing guy or something like that. Like, the biggest concern would be defense. But like I said, there are so many centers in this free agency. I don't think you'd have a problem there. So you could go get 2 defensive centers. All you really need is a defensive wing and you're good. And I just think that this swap would benefit both teams. And like I said, a month ago, I would have said you're crazy. Because Anthony Davis, one, is LeBron's guy. LeBron James wants Anthony Davis around, and I think Anthony Davis is going to be a Laker as long as LeBron James is, but I don't even think LeBron would say no to Kyrie and Kevin Durant, because LeBron knows, like, if I get those 2, we're winning a championship, like, guaranteed. Like, I'm not worried. As long as we're healthy and no one's hurt, that's another ring. Maybe 2, maybe I can pass Jordan if I have these 2 on my team. Like, you know, and then next year he's a free agent. He could sign for whatever he wants. He could sign for money and go get some other guys to fill around these 3, especially if they win a championship. Because at that point, you're 1 away from tying Jordan. If I'm LeBron, I'd do whatever it takes to go get that 6th ring. So even if you got to take $10 million a year to go get 2 wing guys to pair up with your big 3 so you can go win another championship, you do it. You know, I just think that this would be mutually beneficial for both sides. It's great for the Lakers. It makes them relevant again. The Brooklyn Nets are still a solid team. They're still probably just as good as they were last year with all the mess, so they're probably still a playoff team. But if Anthony Davis is healthy, you have that monster of a mismatch. I just think that it's just one of those trades that makes a lot of sense given the time right now and given what is going on. You know, a month ago, no way this happens. That's the most ridiculous trade ever. But hey, guess what? Times change, things change, and we're here, and this sounds legit. But as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving could team up once again and go to the Los Angeles Lakers via trade? Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, plus whatever else, you know. At that point, if you're the Lakers, you give up whatever you have to make this deal done. So if Brooklyn's playing hardball and they're like, look, we want, you know, a THT or 2 draft picks or whatever, okay, fine, here you go. Take the 2 picks. We'll take these guys because, like I said, you're the best team in the NBA for the next 2 or 3 years at least, right? And then even if LeBron does retire or something like that, you still have these 2, which would be young enough to where you could probably go for one more run, go get another star, go get whatever. I just think that this would be best case scenario for the Lakers. Brooklyn, like, what trade are you getting that's better than that? Unless you want to just completely hit the restart button. But even then, you could probably get just as many assets for Anthony Davis as you could for Kevin Durant. And there might be a lot more teams that might go after Anthony Davis just because of natural fit, you know, like, rather than like we have a bunch of wings, but we don't really have that dominant mismatch center. So let's go get that center. Or like a team, like I said, like Chicago, send them back home. Go get a bunch of assets from Chicago. Like, there's ways to go about it. But again, would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.